live from the beautiful Vendetta Auditorium at River Hills Productions. We are talking Racine. I'm Dr. Ken Jorgen. With me this evening is Mr. Ken Lumpkin, a former county board supervisor and small community newspaper owner, or was it large?
Small.
Small. Mr. Jim Spodek, who is actually the owner of the auditorium. And we're going to discuss this evening some items in the Alderman's Handbook, which is a guideline for good government here in Racine. Some interesting things in here. You know, I wonder how many aldermen actually know what's in this handbook. Do they pass this out to them when they get elected?
I don't know, but they should, because it really is a wealth of information.
Well, I ran for alderman once. I didn't have a clue that this even existed.
Right.
You know?
Right.
One of the things that happened on the county board is when you first newly elected county board members, they actually go through an orientation. And they kind of explain to them the do's and the don'ts and how to move legislation and et cetera.
Maybe I just missed that because I didn't get elected.
Well, that could be.
Yeah. Interesting things here, though. This is page 47. I don't know what is on the first 46 pages, but they're covering the planning. Comprehensive plan, 5-year capital improvement plan. It mentions here, select those projects deemed most important in comparison to all other priorities. Determine when such projects should occur and anticipate what impact such expenditures will have on the community and especially the city's financial condition. Yeah, well,
This kind of reminds me.
money is a priority.
Is that where the mayor got his 10-year plan? The idea of his 10-year plan, you think?
Yeah, he just doubled the 5-year plan. You know, he made it twice as good.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 years good, 10 years better.
And what's the term of the mayor?
I think he's in, what, 7 year? Is he in the 7th year?
No. Oh, you mean that he's in office?
Yeah.
I
It's got to be
think- yeah, I
close,
think
5,
that-
6, 7.
That probably is his 7th year.
Halfway through to be the
Well, he
top 10
had
city.
a 4-year term. He's been in almost.
A 2-year and a 4-year, so he's 6. So he's going on a 7th year, roughly.
Yeah.
So his 10-year plan is.
Well, he's going to be the
I don't know
top
about you, but
10 city.
I'm getting a 7-year itch.
Yeah.
I'm ready for a new mayor.
The 10-year plan to be a top 10 city in 10 years. Okay.
Top
well,
10 what? Of
of the United States.
the whole United States?
One of the top 10 cities.
That's ambitious. Oh, here's a couple more things from the handbook. Number 6. This is under 5-year capital improvement plan. Allow more public knowledge and input into the development of plans for the community. Have you had any input?
No.
Have you had any input?
No.
I haven't had any input. Has anybody out there had any input? Think about it.
Here's one of the things in that handbook, and I think we're going to put that online. We're going to get copy now. We're going to do a PDF. We're going to put it on our website, talkingracine.com. The public can go to it and read it, and some of you aldermen actually can go to it and read it. Maybe the first time you'll ever have read it. One of them in there is on page 71. It talks about the watchdog of an alderman.
Yeah.
You know, pull that up, Ken, because I think that's interesting. Because
The watchdog role of an alderman?
absolutely. You know, it
All right.
talks about you don't have to be popular.
He should not only be curious, but critical as well. The unpopular responsibility of appraising dispassionately the status quo and recommending changes where indicated. He should insist on the kind of continuing evaluation which results in eliminating outmoded or unnecessary procedures and streamlining current ones, thus gaining efficiency at less expense. And mind you, he must be thus interested in and critical of all the aspects of city government, including those operations for which he has no natural bent, whether bond issues or library costs or statistics on industrial sewage flows.
Well, here's the thing. If you remember back, the Common Council had, and I can't remember which alderman put it on the floor, we should all go on a little trip together so we can kind of like just bond.
Yeah, get to know each other a little bit. Yeah.
Well, what is
Hang out.
that? You think about that. What does that really mean? You know, are we going to all go together so we all get along, so we all move in the same direction that the mayor wants you to move in? Or what policy or procedure we're going to, work in, instead of having somebody saying critically, let's look at this from a taxpayer point of view. I mean, aldermen they represent their constituents within their district. They aren't out there, and I've heard this from aldermen, not just one, a few of them, well, we have to do what the mayor says. Absolutely, you do not have to do
Oh,
what
I've
the
heard
mayor
that
says.
too, yeah. He's
I
the
mean,
mayor.
that,
He can do
that
what
is
he wants.
absolutely the wrong thing. He's one person. He doesn't run the city. I think when you do that, it's called a dictatorship. And that's something that the city of Racine, it needs to have a lot of voices and a lot of input from the community. And I think that's lacking.
You have to understand why people have that mindset that, especially aldermen, is the fact that most of them aspire to be committee chairmen. In order to do that, the mayor makes the appointment. So if I want to be a committee chairman, I'm going to try to get on the good side of the mayor. Just that simple. So once elected,
That almost sounds like a conflict of interest.
it does. But once elected, people that go there with the real true meaning of being an elected official, I'm working for the people, I'm working for the betterment of the people, they change that soon after
Yeah.
they are there. They begin their process of trying to make it to what they consider the top, which is to be a committee
Where does
chairman.
leadership show up in there? Where's leadership? If I'm committed to constituents in my district to have a park, and I want to push this through, I've got to, if in better terms, suck up so I can get this park in, so I can move forward. Or if it's
yeah.
objected to, then I have to either stop or say, well, I don't think it's a good idea, because the mayor may not elect me to or put me in a position that I'm striving for. But there's a difference between sucking up and leadership.
Yeah.
I hate to be so direct,
and
but I think
you're
that's,
being quite candid, but
Yeah.
you're being honest.
exactly.
And that's what we have. We have groups of individuals that have been elected by the people that feel they have to suck up to the mayor in order to further their political career.
Well, and to get an appointment. And
Yeah,
right.
There's always the justification of, well, if I don't do this, I won't have any effect whatsoever.
Right.
So I have to compromise my integrity just to have a little bit of power to do some of the things that I feel need to be done.
And how do politicians, and how are they viewed when you do that? I mean, really, by the public, they're viewed as weak, ineffective,
Yeah.
and they lose elections because of it. And I'm not talking about being confrontational. I'm talking about becoming a leader and putting forth an agenda that is positive for the taxpayer, for the constituents, for the betterment of a community. We don't have to build an arena. We don't have to build all this, because who's crying for this arena or any of this other stuff? And I don't know. We can segue.
Well,
in.
when you bring that up, that takes us to item number 7 here. Reduce spur-of-the-moment decisions which may have major economic impact on the community,
Bingo.
often a result of special interest groups. Now, how long has this arena been under consideration? Less than a year. It's just a matter of months, isn't it?
Yeah.
And how does that fit into the 5-year plan? I doubt that it was mentioned in the 5-year plan, the last one they went through, whenever that was.
Or the 10-year plan.
Or the 10-year plan, exactly. So all of a sudden, let's build an arena for $46 million. Where do you fit that in?
Well, it doesn't fit in. And you have this, better term, wild hair, and we're going to cultivate that into something that the public is going to be accepting of.
If we look at the 2017 budget, it's not even in it.
Right. Right.
Although it's a dream of the mayor and his cronies that, this arena come to fruition, it's nothing that he was willing to put in the budget
Exactly.
to make it happen. So really, what is this?
Right.
No, I think in one episode I said it's no more than similar to the Field of Dreams.
Exactly.
Wait a minute, one episode? You talk like we've been doing this for years. This is episode number 2 we're doing here
Another show.
tonight.
We have another show.
Well, this brings us up to Journal Times editorial. Dickard's budget poses questions, and it's our perspective. And they talk about the budget and about the arena and how it fits in or does not fit in, how this is going to impact the finances of the citizens. There was a good quote in here that the mayor's budget was titled "Building a Better Future." That's like we love puppies. Building a better future. Come on. And Dickard hit that theme in his budget address, saying, We have the opportunity to build a brighter future in Racine for our children, our residents, and our taxpayers. And I, for one, think it is worth the fight. What fight? I mean, who's going to fight a better future?
Yes.
If you got to fight it, that tells me right away that there's some opposition to it. And what is that opposition based on?
Well,
The fact.
And that's what we are not hearing.
exactly.
We are not hearing that silent opposition to that proposal of an arena.
Well, because this is a spur of the moment thing.
Well, not only that, it's executive
boom.
committee, so this goes into, I'm gonna sit around with we're gonna all sit around and talk about what we enjoy and what we want. Oh, then, well, we'll tell you later, just hang on. You know, we're gonna concoct this all, and then we're gonna bring it to the council, which we've already set up to say, you know, you would be great on the committee for public works. You know?
Yeah.
Number 6, allow more public knowledge and input into the development plans for the community. Somehow or another, I think somebody didn't read this
Yeah, that,
manual.
Yeah.
well, now, here in this Journal Times, it's called Our Perspective, and it was the October 16th, 2016. This was actually done fairly well. I mean, and they actually brought some interesting information out as far as the what do they call it, $400 million, $417 million dollar obligation to the retirees and the active employees over the next decade.
Where
and
is
there's
it?
$417 million obligation to its retirees and active employees over the next decade, and there's been nothing set aside for that. So basically, and Dickert puts in his budget, he does add an additional $300,000 in Dickert's budget, paying something down on those obligations, or does it merely keep the pace with the current obligations and kick the can down the road to address these massive unfunded obligations?
Oh, wait a minute. 417 million. That's, well, I was going to say that's $41.7 million per year over the decade.
That's close to 10 arenas.
And the debt service is now 34 cents on the dollar. So you got,
Well, that's included, I think, with that, with the debt of the retirees. But what we're saying is, we're broke. How are you going to build an arena when we're broke?
I don't know. I'm not the mayor. I'm sure he must have great ideas.
I want to just say that the Journal Times
wants
brought
Racine to
some
be
of this
great.
out, you know, in this perspective. I don't know all the,
Yeah.
you know, here's one of their quotes. One of these is the proposed $46 million downtown Arena Hotel and Convention Center, which Dickert touted again in his budget speech, saying we must develop and redevelop to increase our overall ability to raise revenues. You're spending $46 million. When is that revenue coming back? I mean, it's like we've all been young guys and go out, get a paycheck on a Friday, and you're borrowing lunch money on Monday.
Yeah.
I used to lend guys lunch money. I was,
A little smarter. But the fact is, you're busted.
yeah.
And you know, I wonder have any thought been given to the impact that this would have on pre-existing project, which would be the hotel that's
Right.
already there.
Right.
You know, you're not going to have hockey every night where people are going to
No.
Exactly.
come and spend the night in the two
Well,
hotels.
yeah, like I mentioned before, I would like to know what the occupancy rate is at the existing hotel.
Yeah, you know.
And how many rooms are they talking about for this new hotel?
Well, it's everything's a
I'd
secret.
like to know what type of hotel is it? A 1-star, a 2-star? You know, so you know, none of those questions are.
Well, I knew you
answered.
have some hotel experience from
Right, yeah.
earlier in life.
Yeah, I worked at and tried to become a manager of one.
I myself worked at the Ramada Inn up in Milwaukee. I was the maintenance man, the guy who was basically in charge of keeping the building from crumbling to the ground.
I was an auditor.
Yeah.
If that mean anything.
I mean, you put the slides
How
of
about
paper
you?
in the door. I had no hotel
No
experience.
hotel experience?
No, I've never
Other
money
than
to
room
get-
rental, right? Yeah, well,
Occasionally.
Yeah. Are you a part of the development team?
I could be. I have enough experience. I've been to that hotel.
he's probably stayed in a few hostels. Or, you know,
Yeah, I have stayed at hostels.
He's probably behaved in a hostile manner in a hotel.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing. Okay,
Go ahead.
here's the other thing. Now, we had this our perspective from the Journal-Times on the 16th of October
Yeah.
of 2016. Now, in November, I'm going to say middle of November, Dickert apparently is interviewed by the editorial board by the Journal-Times, and
Well,
he
that's
comes up.
the inference.
Well, that's what we're talking about. There's no way he was interviewed. I read this and I'm thinking, well, where are the questions, Journal-Times? I mean, he throws this thing out here like a PR piece. He talks about the arena, and there's some questions in this that should have been asked.
Wasn't one of our lunch partners, didn't he sit and make a phone call to the author of this article and question him as to whether or not he actually met with the mayor, or this was just submitted by City Hall? And what was the conclusion?
He said, and I heard it, he said, it was just submitted, dropped off.
Just dropped off, right.
So the editorial board actually, when he talked about, when it says the Davenport, Iowa developer will not receive an additional extension on the $4.3 million, this Machinery Row, the financial district property owes the city, unless he has a solid financing plan. And in here it says, Mayor Dickert issued a clear message to Machinery Road developer Rodney Blackwell during a meeting with the Journal-Times editorial board
So
on
he's
Monday.
speaking about himself in the third party.
I
the
think
third
that's.
person.
I think he literally wrote this in the
Yeah.
third party to say, "Well, I spoke to your editorial board." What the? I
Are
mean,
we talking about another project, the machinery road?
Meantime, Jorgen recommended to Lumpkin that he not interfere in the conversation at the present time.
I mean, this is
I
like
speaking in the
what is
third
it?
person
What did
about
I
myself.
say? That we just watched. We just did a former show, The Twilight Zone. I mean. There's no questions. How does the editorial board interview a mayor and not ask any questions? It's like I
little
don't think I've ever
suspicious.
seen this. We've seen some of the shows we did on another. We have another television show. How many times have we seen editorial boards just drill some of these senators and congressmen and mayors and just ask hard-hitting questions? And sometimes these mayors, they come back with some good answers.
Could you do me a favor? Could you
Shoot.
give me two good questions that if you was on the JT editorial board, you would have asked?
Where's the money? With $4.5 million.
That trumps any other question right
Yeah,
there.
that's top dollar right
Yeah.
there. Where's the money? Now, there's a question I've got. Back in an article, it was $937,000. That was a donation that the financial properties, Blackwell, made to the city and donated some apparently land that the city had borrowed the money to buy the land. I mean, it's so bizarre that I borrow you the money, then you buy the land, then you donate it back with the money I borrowed you to do a walkway around the park. Something's wrong there.
My head hurts just listening to you.
Audit time. That
Yeah.
As soon as I hear that stuff, what company?
When, I hate to cut into you, but I worked with one of the candidates that was running for mayor, and one of the things that he called for was an audit. When have the City of Racine been audited?
2009 was the last audit done on the city of Racine. Now we're talking about an outside audit, not a bonding audit. We're talking about an outside audit that is independent of
And Mayor
employees.
Dickert has been in office how long?
2009,
So there hasn't been one done since he's been in office.
correct.
Huh.
So the
What company that runs an $80 million budget a year doesn't get an audit?
So we don't know what happened even with the money for the engine plant that was going to be.
No.
We don't know how much
But-
money was for lawnmowers.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, where's the actual top? The head of finance, I think, is Dave Brown. There's a Kathy Casper's there. They should be called on a carpet and said, we want an audit, and a legitimate audit, not some bonding audit where we're going to,
Interior audit.
interior audit.
I think it's interesting to read this and know that the Journal-Times did not ask any questions, that this was just submitted to them. If they don't pay, we're going to do one of two things, Dickert said, who may have been the author of this. We're going to take the property over, which is maybe what we should have done a long time ago, or we could walk away from the whole thing, but we're not going to do that because we have too much invested in it. How much? That'd be an interesting question to ask.
Journal Times, how about that question? How much money was the payments made on time? Where's the contract? I think it's time we start doing our own investigating.
Dickert added that the city has already been in touch with other developers about new plans for the site. We've actually looked at it and talked to the other folks about what they would do, he said. If Blackwell does come up with the money he owes and a plan for the future development, Dickert said Blackwell could remain on the project. If he comes up with the money and a good plan, it's a viable plan. Sure, we're good to go.
He's talking about another Field of Dream project.
Yeah.
Wow, how many? I mean, you know, I guess it's not funny, but I'm looking at as long as he's been in office, he's been promising these great projects.
Yeah.
And,
Promising everything.
It was you know to learn that machinery role. That one I thought was gonna.
Here, take this one, Ken. If you remember back far enough, you know, people forget things. It's a $65 million project. Now put that in your head for a second. $65 million. Rodney Blackville, I remember Mick Burke writing from the Journal Times, well, he can't move forward because there's soap on one of the floors in one of the buildings. The boats are still out in the parking lot. I
Yeah.
mean, are you kidding me? It's a $65 million project, and this developer isn't going to move forward because, well, there's an old.
Yeah, they came up with all kinds of weak excuses why nothing was being done.
So,
Like,
and
some guy
Rodney
still had some
Blackwell
stuff
is
stored in one of the
sued
buildings.
multiple times in Iowa. His partner leaves him.
Yeah.
Bingo. I mean, you
What
guys,
about the project with the microbreweries? You know, where is that at now?
that whole thing? We would dig into that. We can dig into the bathrooms in Racine. You know, where's all the old granite from that bathroom?
Oh,
Is it
you
on
mean
Monument
in City
Square?
Hall?
I heard.
No, I heard it. I heard it's an archaeological dig. Should be
I
done.
heard that. I heard that the individual that's a friend of Dickert that bought the granite would not pay for the granite, but still was paid by the City of Racine, and it's supposed to be. And this is hearsay, but from reliable sources, that you cannot sell anything to the City of Racine if you hadn't paid your debt.
Right.
But this guy is very close to Dickert, so I guess he had the influence.
There's a
of the
lot
mayor.
there. There's a lot there on those bathrooms. That's a whole other subject we'll get into later. But right now, I think we're talking about a huge amount of money for an arena that I just don't see it. I don't see the revenues that's going to generate. I mean, it's this big pie in the sky stuff, and there's nothing out there. I mean, this is a big undertaking for
On
this
top of
community.
Machinery Row, on top of the Porter project, on top of the Delta Hawk
Yeah.
engine plant,
Right.
on top of, what is that other one down by the lake? Wasn't under Dickert's watch, but Blue.
Well, he had something to do with that. That
Did he?
was
What do they call
Point
it?
Blue.
Point Blue.
Point Blue. I mean, it goes on and on and on. I mean, there's nothing here. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't let the guy.
I see a for sale sign down on the Porter property today.
Oh well, I think it's been there. I don't know.
This
Well,
make
that's the first time I noticed it.
the former Alderman Kaplan project for the lakefront, what, monorail?
Yeah.
It makes it look good.
Yeah.
It actually look good now, you know?
It falls right in line. It's something that'll never happen. Oh man.
Where was that monorail supposed to go anyway? From Zoo Beach to North Beach or something?
No, from Zoo Beach up to the hood.
Oh man.
Up to the hood?
Yeah. And then you get off at the hood. Just like that bridge in Milwaukee.
Right, the bridge it ends. Just
Wait a
don't drive
minute.
too far.
The North Hood or the South Hood?
There's so much we can do. I mean, all kidding aside, there's so much that these projects can benefit the community. Government is not in for development. It's in to better a community.
The quality of life.
Quality
Right.
of life. And you know what? Developments come. When you have quality of life, developments figure that out, and they come. You know, they don't come because you force them into it. They come because there's a quality of life. People are happy. People are moving, and you know, jobs.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, because I'm not a billionaire. I'm not a guy who's like looking for a place to put up a big development. But if I was, I would look around for a community where the people are happy,
Exactly.
where there's jobs, where the infrastructure is sound, where the schools are good. That's the kind of community that I would be attracted to.
Correct.
We don't seem to be putting our investment into developing
No,
that.
I mean, we there's a lot of things that could be done. A
Yeah.
lot of things that can be done from, you know, a ground up type thing, like a community should develop. And communities that have been successful, they built from the ground up. And they built their community.
During my stint with the
During
county
your what?
board,
Which what?
That's what it was.
What was that word you used? Did you say during your stench?
That's what it was. I visited a couple of cities, and it was so refreshing and amazing when you have real good development.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and you develop for the entire community
Right.
rather than trying to put it in a certain location.
Or even if you allow people to develop things with less hindrance on them. I mean, it seems to me that people that come up with their own project ideas and their own financing, they get squelched. And then somebody like Blackwell here who shows up without any money and a bad history, I mean, they're bending over backwards to make sure that this guy is included in a project that, as of now, looks like it's going nowhere. This town is bass backwards in a lot of ways, in my estimation.
So,
What is that word?
Bass backwards. That's pig Latin for ass backwards.
all right, guys.
I think we've done it. Yes.
We'll
One more
meet on
time.
this enough.
Yeah.
What I'd like to do is bring somebody in, at least somebody that really takes apart that budget. I really starts looking at the city budget because I think that's important, and I think we need. And if any aldermen are listening out there, time to request an audit.
Yeah.
That will clean up a lot of things and bring a lot of things to light for the community. It's a safe bet. What company does not have an audit, especially an $80 million a year company, and that's what Racine is, does not have an audit? No one would invest the stock. No one would buy their stock if they couldn't look at a prospectus or an audit of where are you sound? Are you really a sound company?
Well, who do you draw in? You draw in people like Rodney Blackwell, who it turns out is
And there's a
highly
lot here.
questionable.
There's a lot here. I tell you what. I mean, sometimes what you don't see and what you don't talk about is a big problem. There's a
Right,
lot.
yeah.
There's a lot under those covers.
well, I guess we got to dig around for somebody who's a financial expert.
We're going to get one in here. Matter of
Yeah,
fact,
okay.
we've got some people we've asked, and we've got some people that want to come on the show. So, all right.
Well, until then, good evening or good morning or whenever you're watching this, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching.